Bon voyage, everyone, and welcome to Laughing Place's exploration of Disney's newest cruise ship, the Disney Wish. But first, some introductions. My name, Doobie Mosley, co-founder of Laughing Place, 12 cruises under my belt, none of which have been on the Disney Wish. Right over there is my lovely and talented wife, Rebekah Mosley, also the co-founder of Laughing Place, 12 cruises under her belt, again, none on the Disney Wish. However, down there, the man in the sky blue shirt, Alex Rife. No idea how many cruises he's been on. It doesn't really matter because the most recent was on the Disney Wish. And over there, a whole square away, even though they're like probably 50 feet apart, the other
You want to talk.
Good point. Benji Breitbart, the current CEO, that's right, I founded it, he's my boss, of A Laughing Place. I believe he has about 112 cruises on his belt, the most recent on the Disney Wish. Benjamin Breitbart.
Just 20 cruises.
Just
20.
On one on the Disney Wish.
So, which so far is all it's had, and we're not sure when number. No, and so we are here to talk about the Disney Wish. As you can tell, you have a wealth of Disney experience here, some of which have been on the Disney Wish. So we're going to break it down for you. What's new on this ship? What's different on this ship? Both in terms of the obvious stuff and maybe the not so obvious stuff in terms of what the Disney cruise experience is right now. And most importantly, we're live. Why do we do it live? Zero prep, and so that we can answer your questions. So if you have any questions whatsoever about the Disney Wish or Disney cruising in general or other cruises, except I don't think any of us have been on any other ships, we are the people to ask. So with that, let's get started. Let's start with this simple question. I will ask Alex because you tend to be briefer. What are your overall impressions of the Disney Wish?
It's a beautiful ship. I don't know if you want me to elaborate on that, but it's gorgeous.
When I say brief, I mean brief. That was great. No, you can talk a little bit more than that.
No, it's beautiful.
Thank you for giving him permission to speak.
I would say what sets it apart from the other ship is how much they lean into Disney royalty, particularly the core Disney princess characters. For the most part, that is the theme of the ship as you walk around and explore. Whereas the other ships, in my opinion, lean much more into Mickey and the gang as kind of the core aesthetic, and then you get other Disney IP properties, kind of touches of them throughout.
Okay. We'll go to Benji with a slightly different question. Benji, as you guys may know, doesn't really have any sense of creativity. He's more of the logistical type person. So Benji, in terms of the operations of the ship, is this just the Disney fantasy with different IP?
No, this is a very different ship. And I do think it's important to say the ship's not done. We also didn't pay. So therefore, it's okay the ship's not done. I mean, that was, they've less than 2 weeks to finish it.
Let me interrupt you real quick. They both went on the media cruise. So there was the christening and then the media cruise. So it was a free cruise.
Yeah,
and this was the first cruise with guests. There weren't any test cruises, really. So this was the first real cruise this ship had. Now you may continue.
Yeah. So the way they phrased it to us, because I needed help to figure out how to convey what this was it's the christening cruise, which included media, influencers, executives, and a few travel agents. It's like the really big travel agents. So Becky from Mouse Fan Travel was on board, and wow, Doobie just got smarter. The ship's not done, and coming into it, the public, they didn't know what was going to be ready. In fact, many things were added kind of last minute because they finished them or got them to a point where they feel like they could give us a taste of it. So it's not the full. We didn't have the full Disney Wish experience, which is, I mean, that's not saying from a complaint standpoint, but I just wanted to say how we're evaluating it, what we got. They've made, I would say, operational sacrifices. I agree with Alex in that it's a beautiful ship. It's perhaps the most beautiful, most detailed, most themed beyond. It gives away that sort of nautical Disney theme for what they're calling the, Castle on the Sea. It's definitely Fantasyland inspired, royal. I would say, leans in heavily to Aurora and Cinderella. One elevator bank of the two is Aurora themed, and the other is Cindy themed. There's, I would say, probably leans a little also to the aquatic princesses of Moana and Ariel, but
and Arista, Alana, Athena. Just kidding.
But since the ship wasn't done, it's hard to tell if the sacrifices they made were worth the operational inconsistencies. There's only 2 elevator banks. There's no adult district.
I realize it's 2 elevator banks. Are there fewer elevators?
I think there's. I mean, I didn't do the math because I don't of elevators to.
Do you expert cruisers remember how many elevators there are per bank on the previous ships? I feel like it's 6 on the previous ships. I feel like there's 8 on the 2 elevator banks on the new ship.
It kind of depends on how many guests are. There has to be a proportionate number of guests on board. The elevators are deeper, it felt like.
Okay.
So I think each elevator could hold more people. It says 20, but it's elevators. They're not actually going to hold 20. The other
none of them with a glass component, as far as I can tell. By the way, yeah, I didn't see any elevators with a glass viewing portal.
There was none. I asked, and there's also the elevators have this problem where all the buttons tend to get pressed because they're kind of like sensor based. And so anytime someone like brushes by, how like when you kind of lean back to let somebody into the elevator or let somebody out, I don't think I went on the elevator once where basically all the buttons weren't pushed.
And they're on both sides of the door. So either way, if somebody's trying to lean, like step aside to let somebody in, they inevitably get accidentally pushed. I also experienced with Jeremiah pressing our deck number maybe a little too hard and other buttons surrounding it lighting up. So they're currently very sensitive. I have faith that they will figure out how to make that better by July 14th.
It wasn't just us that was getting annoyed. The crew was getting a little peeved too.
Yes, it was across the board. People were like, "What the heck with these elevators?"
Interesting observation. Okay. So you said sacrifices. You mentioned the elevator banks. What other sacrifices would you?
So I would say. So what's interesting, and I don't know if this is I wouldn't call this a bad thing, but this is.
I'm gonna start showing a few pictures while you guys talk. You can just ignore them. You don't have to acknowledge them.
It's purely for aesthetics.
So two of the main dining restaurants are split. So which is kind of cool because it makes it feel less like a big dining room, but it creates these weird hallways that kind of go nowhere. There's no promenade. There's a promenade walk, but it's not flat. It goes up and down from like deck 2 to deck 5. So if you're using it as just sort of a stair-free stroll, it's also obviously not wheelchair accessible that way either. There's, I would say, there's questions about where some our cruise was not fully programmed. So we don't know where things would be, like where they're going to put trivia. Many of the venues, the nightclub venues or whatever, are very, very small. They're well themed. They're gorgeous. Like Keg and Compass over there is themed to the Norwegian and has full of Easter eggs, and it's amazing. It's just very small. Triton's, which is, I don't know what it is going to be used for, is super small. The Hyperspace Lounge is smaller than any lounge on a classic ship.
You would say it's easily smaller than the Skyliner Lounge?
I would say probably it's about the same size as a Skyliner Lounge.
Which is not large at all. I feel like
Right.
the Skyliner Lounge probably has about 20 seats.
And
So-
I feel like they went to the classic ships have bigger lounges. The older ships, I think they're probably underutilized, so they went smaller on the Dream and Fantasy. And I feel like they said, okay, that's the right size, forgetting that it's Star Wars.
And
You know,
right off the Grand Hall. So
Right.
I feel like half the people on a fantasy cruise have no idea Skyline Lounge is even there. Everyone's going to know hyperspace is there.
Right. And it was, and now obviously the constituency of this cruise was different, but it was also only 30% full. And there was long waits to get in the Skyline Lounge and a 45-minute sort of.
You mean hyperspace?
I'm sorry, hyperspace. Correct.
Virtual queue.
Yeah,
I can hear you calling.
They started doing a reservation system. Like they set up a podium outside of it, kind of, reacting to the demand, and booked up through the end of the cruise. So that was a space where, had it not been for an adult tour, an adult entertainment district tour that they offered as media, I wouldn't have gotten to step foot inside.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The other thing that's interesting is, in this, to me, part of this makes sense and part of this doesn't make sense, is on the other ships, they sort of split the Disney retail into kind of kids and adults into two different stores, Mickey Mainsails and Whitecaps, or whatever the name is. They evolve with time, but they combined all the Disney retail into one merchandise on a different level than the rest of what they call luxury merchandise, which is huge. That's your fancy handbags, your watches, your jewelry, and it takes up an inordinate amount of space. You could probably fit, I would say, 8 Skyline lounges into what they have for a luxury retailer, and that's being conservative.
Those luxury retailers, are those Disney branded stuff, or is it just like a Tiffany store kind of stuff that?
It's not. So they have like the timepiece people. That's it's not. I think they're Disney cast members, but it's not Disney branded. They do have a few like Disney, Dooney, and Burks in there, but I would not call it like Disney retail. It's more of, like if you go to a Coach store at Disney Springs, right, and they have some Disney stuff.
So I just want to clarify. You said they've given the space of about 8 Star Wars lounges to just high-end retail.
Would that be? I mean, would you? I mean, Alex.
Yeah, it was a significant amount of retail to the higher end, not necessarily Disney branded stuff. I did go into, I think it was called Treasures Untold. And that was where they had a Pandora counter. And within the Pandora counter, they had a lot of the Disney, Marvel, Star Wars pieces, plus the Disney Cruise Line exclusive items. They also had non-Disney Pandora in there. That's where they had a corner devoted to Dooney and Burke and Vera Bradley. They had the Disney items within those collections, but they also had some non-Disney items. They had adult cruise apparel, not necessarily Disney. So in there, they had what's it called? The Vineyard Vines apparel up there. Nothing Disney. I don't think they've ever done a Disney collaboration of Vineyard Vines. So there were, brand names in that store that you wouldn't necessarily associate with finding at Disney. And then the other store that was up there, which I think was the Crown Jewels, that was like your Breitling watches, whatever the other brands of jewelry that you typically find on a Disney cruise line, were all relegated there, but it was a significantly sized space. Right. Speaking of the retail, too, there's Mickey's Mainsail. Around the corner from that was Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, where obviously they sell, Disney princess dresses. They had a Disney Prince mannequin, like a boy in a Prince costume, looked like it was Prince Philip inspired, which was neat to see. But they also split away from the cruises, from the Senses Spa. So if you want a manicure, a shave, a facial, those kinds of services are no longer in the spa, and they're now part of, if it's more of the like haircut, facial, nail, manicure, pedicure services, it's in a Rapunzel themed location. And if you want a shave, more of nail services, those are in a Captain Hook themed facility now.
So there's actually effectively 3 salons: Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, the adult hair salon, the barbery, all separate from the Sensa Spa, which is also quite large here.
The Sensa Spa is huge here, and they have a complete outdoor deck on the bow of the ship, complete with like basically a rainforest room outside. It's nice. That one, obviously it's not open to everybody, but that doesn't upset me as much as the retail, because at least it's a service-based thing. I was more
bringing it up for the amount of space allotted, but those all look really nice. I was excited by that change.
But they also, the thing that surprised me about the specialty, what they call luxury retail, is just I don't remember it being that popular on any of the other Disney ships, so it just seemed like an odd choice. I mean, obviously there was a reason, but I don't know what it is.
That is really interesting. So go ahead, Alex. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, especially when you consider that, I think it was the Dream had a Tiffany's on board, and then Tiffany's didn't want to renew because it just wasn't doing enough business for them. So, yeah, that is interesting.
It is interesting. On its own, fine, but when you then talk about how small some of the other spaces are, real interesting. I'm sure we'll get back to some differences. I wanted to get on to some of the stuff that people have been looking forward to since the ship was announced that you guys actually got to do. So, one of the things they decided to do on the Wish was the dining experiences, even more so than they've done on prior ships. So let's start with the big one people have been excited about, the World of Marvel. What was that like?
We went to a Disney dining panel, and they explained what their vision for all the ships are regarding dining, which is to have what they call luxury dining. So that's your Royal Court, your Lumieres, your Tritons. On the ship, that's 1923. And, we'll go back and talk individually. Then they want to have a technological dining experience. So that's Animator's Palette, or in this case, Worlds of Marvel. So I think it's important when you're comparing World of Marvel to kind of know what its, peer group is. And then having what they call Entertainment Restaurant, which isn't so much on the Dream and Fantasy as of yet, but on the Wonder and Magic is Tiana's and Rapunzel's.
Yeah. And here it is Arendelle.
Correct.
So why don't we start with that one? Start with Arendelle instead.
I thought the Arendelle experience was spectacular, and supposedly it's only half done.
Wow.
It's theater in the round.
In terms of the show element, it's only half done.
Correct. Yeah, I mean the food was cooked all the way through. But
unless you ask for it to be medium, and
I believe the menu is final.
Yeah, although the wine list, it was definitely one of those like, okay, here's the wine list. Let us know what you want, and we'll let you know if we have it.
Oh yeah.
But they, and they say no bad seats, and when you go in there, you kind of feel like, I don't know, I might have a bad seat. But it actually, we were kind of in the back, and we did feel like we had, it might not video well, but it definitely, you felt like you had the full experience. A couple of things, like, so how they used to go around and be like freshly ground pepper and stuff like that. They put pepper on the table so they don't have to interrupt you as much. And I was impressed with the cast. I mean, Jeremiah was videoing it, and they were very considerate as to how to like serve without interrupting. They also moved all the stations like inside, further deeper into the restaurant, so they don't block your view. But the Olaf experience here, he walks, he gets pushed around, is really cool.
He gets carted around, but yeah, Olaf is what you would describe it, a mechanical puppet, maybe an animatronic. He's wheeled around on a base, but he's really cool.
And it's a show. It's not. There's no. I wouldn't say. I mean, so the idea is you're here for the engagement party. Oaken has opened a party planning service in the off season. There's not like tension. There's not a lot of drama. It's just a kind of a celebratory dinner. But Olaf is, I think he's what would be, some sort of an animatronic, and is just really cool. And then, of course, Elsa does her magic. I don't think that was quite done, so I don't want to really fully evaluate it. But and the food was good.
Even so, by the time you get to that part where Elsa is using her ice magic in the show, they've kind of done such a great job of welcoming you into the world of Frozen that even with what may have been, half-baked visual effects, it was still an impressive moment, and it's still performers. They're still, singing songs. Those Frozen songs get really big and powerful. So it was still a goosebump moment, right around the time dessert was served.
And of course they do let it go, but they don't do it in the way you expect, which is so refreshing. They do
very
it
good.
in a fun way that's not just Elsa doing her thing. Like it's done in a fun.
And for those of you who are watching us, if you want to see the full show, we do offer that on our YouTube channel, so you can see the experience in its entire as it is available to this particular preview.
Can you pause the video real quick?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So in the video, you see Olaf, Elsa, Anna, Kristoff, and Josh Tomorrow.
That's Josh right there. For those who don't recognize the head of Disney theme, what's that position called these days?
Chairman of Disney Parks, Experiences, and Products.
Thank you. But Benji and Alex just got off the Disney Wish for the Media Christening Cruise, and so the ship isn't completely complete. It hasn't had its maiden voyages, its inaugural voyages yet. So they're, doing their best to let us know what their experience was like. And like I say, we have as much of the show as we were presented available here on the YouTube channel, so you can get
40 minutes of it.
We have tons of videos on the site and on this channel for you to check out if you want more information about the Wish.
I don't want you to mislead our audience. Saying it was not quite done is not accurate. It is not done. There's no do not modify it. It is not complete, or it's seafaring. It's like seafaringly wise. It's fine.
Which is
not so much.
Which is not an insult, because the experience was what it was, ups and downs, and yet it's not even done. So
yeah, they still have like 11
Can
days.
I ask you guys a question? When I read the menu at Arendelle, it felt very Akershus. Did it feel that way? I know you guys both have been to Epcot a lot. Did it kind of grab you that way as well, Alex?
It did, and in fact, I was a little torn with what to order on the menu, but I ended up getting the shikatka, the traditional Norwegian, meatballs over noodles, and they were different. It's not just a copy of the version of those that you get when you dine at Akershus. And they were delicious. They were one of my favorite things I had on the cruise. I think Jeremiah echoes that feeling as well. So yeah, those were great. And yes, you do get kind of like as your appetizer. There's a cold cut component if you want it. Then you go to your hot meal, and then for dessert. But things weren't necessarily on the menu that you would have expected. Like no rice pudding. Which is a staple at Akershus. The other thing I wish I was really torn to try was they had a savory lefse, which for me, lefse is one of my favorite things at the bakery Kringlag in Norway at Epcot. And it's more of a sweeter item with cinnamon. So that would have been interesting. That was one of the vegetarian options, was a savory lefse.
I also saw a drink that had a giant ice cube, like before they cut it down, that looked like it was a lot of fun.
I didn't get that, but I did get the zero proof highlight beverage at this location. Zero proof is what they're calling the non-alcoholic options, because they want it to be for all ages, but they don't want adults to feel like they're getting a mocktail. But it was a frozen concoction that had strawberry in it, but it also had coffee in it. Not that was like a dominant flavor, but it was amazing. I was in love with that.
Yeah, the zero proof thing was a funny thing. Like they definitely want the non-alcoholic beverages to be available, not kind of the second rate. Because for a long time, there was that bubble gum and that cotton candy drink, and those were your two choices. Here, every place has their own customized non-alcoholic.
I saw that. And as a zero-proof drinker, I greatly appreciate that. So I'm going to quick reset. We're talking about the Disney Wish with a couple of guys over there to my left, now above me, who just got off the ship. And so
they also definitely lean into the Maelstrom heritage. Like there's a Maelstrom trio flight of drinks from Norway. There's a lot of Maelstrom quotes.
Well, what is Maelstrom? This Maelstrom you speak of?
An attraction that, not coincidentally, was bumped by Frozen.
All right, so people were so excited over this next restaurant we're going to talk about, the Worlds of Marvel. I don't think there were, other than the Star Wars Lounge, I don't think there was a single thing on this ship that people were more excited about. What was that experience like?
Very similar, I would say, in terms of like what happens technologically to Art of Animation. It's a lot of screens. It felt like a Marvel overlay of what's it called? Not Art of Animation.
Animator's Palette.
Animator's Palette. It felt to me like a Marvel overlay of Animator's Palette, and maybe overhyped as a result.
Oh, interesting.
This is one of several things I felt like was overhyped. Once again, not sure if it's done, but there's some nice touches, like the Miracle of Molecules. You get to hear the Sherman Brothers song. That's the name of the presentation that Ant-Man's doing. It's tied into Avengers Campus. Ant-Man addresses why he didn't grow up Thanos's butt. But it's basically you're sitting there and you watch this movie. At the end, Ant-Man and Wasp do kind of do a drive-by. The quantum core on your table, you push the button. I don't even know if the buttons really do anything.
It definitely changed the lighting on your table. Like when you press the button, it responded with a lighting flare.
Yeah, but I don't know what happens if you don't hit the button.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess it's mission space. If you don't hit the button, an override happens.
So it was definitely overplayed. That the quantum core. Now I got the quantum core sipper, which you can see here, which has a fantastic drink inside of it.
That was kind of like a dreamsicle, but like really light on the orange.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Okay.
And the food was good, but our publicist told us don't order the schnitzel. So,
which is what I was going to order, so I backed off.
Speaking of food quality overall,
amazing. You would say just good?
I would say very good. I would not give it an excellent yet, but I also don't expect the first cruise that they're feeding people to be excellent. I would say
I would say this was my favorite cruise food-wise.
Can I give a pro tip on this one? It's a Marvel restaurant. Don't leave. You're going to be done. Stay all the way through the credits. So
do you think that was intentional?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a post-credit tag at the Marvel restaurant, and by credit we mean post-dessert tag. So
that's
wait
brilliant.
Wait until like the screens are done. It seems like everything's over. Just linger a little longer.
It also seems like something that can update fairly regularly. I don't know if they, as we said, just because they can doesn't mean they will. Star Tours, but it does feel it. I don't know how to put it. It's if I'm comparing it to like Animator's Palette, particularly if Animation Magic or Crush, I would say it's a letdown because there's not a lot of interactivity with it.
Okay.
Is it canon?
Yet, I don't know if there's more to come.
Is this now part of the MCU? Is this canon?
No.
And this is one of my favorite little details from the venue that you guys shared in your images. The Avengers logo there on the cutler on the flatware.
On the charger
really
too.
Cool.
Yeah, really cool.
This restaurant had my favorite bread and a creamy dip to dip your bread in.
Ooh.
And this is one of the two split restaurants where you're in like half of it.
Right. 1923 being the other with the Roy Disney Room, the Walt Disney Room, and we're not going to spend much time talking about that. You guys have all done the similar restaurants. It does not have a show component, but it is very attractive.
Yeah, we didn't have dinner there, but because I don't know if we're going to talk about Enchanté, but
next on the list.
But I would say the biggest difference is you don't feel like you're in a big dining room like you do at Triton's. I mean, it's not just because it's split, but there's a bunch of there's so many displays of like maquettes and things that you really feel like you're in a regular restaurant as opposed to a dining room. We had breakfast there and it was really nice.
That's really interesting. So there are two upcharge restaurants there, just like on the Dream class ships. There's Palo, a restaurant that is on all 5 ships, although on this ship it is Palo Steakhouse. And then there's the one you guys ate at, which is the super upscale restaurant, Enchanté. both of which, by the way, I want to mention, come off a place called The Rose, which, by the looks of it, is maybe the most beautiful spot on the ship. It is really beautiful, and its location, where you can have your drink sitting right next to a window above the water, it's much different. You can do that at I can't remember what it's called on the Dream and the Fantasy.
Meridian,
yes, but you have to go outside, which is nice. You go outside, but here you're just hanging out. The beautiful rose stuff from Beauty on the Beast on one side and the ocean on the other. The pictures I've seen there, I can't wait to go hang out there. But enchanté.
So for those of you that did Remy, just setting the stage. So this is the French half of Remy, except only not the Scott Hummel part. So it's the same chef. He was actually on board, 3 Michelin star award-winning chef.
Same Michelin as the tire.
Yes, correct. Never mind. It's much brighter than Remy. There's no tablecloths for sustainability reasons, also to make it more comfortable. This picture being completely dark, but when you actually get in there, it's much brighter. And so you feel much more casual. Like, I kind of felt like in Remy, you don't want to touch anything. Like, it's very elegant. Like here, like it was, David and Ashley were next to us, and like they needed help with the Wi-Fi, so you just feel comfortable going up and helping them with it.
Epstein,
like,
for those not on a first name basis.
So we were all everyone in the dining room knew each other because we were all part of this community. So we were just like talking about everything, and we were never sort of frowned upon. So it's comfortable but very upscale. This is one course. All of the stuff on that plate is one course. That tomato, that sort of deconstructed tomato thing.
So while the environment is a little bit more comfortable than Remy, you'd say the food and the presentation is the same level?
Yeah, I mean it's the presentation's a little bit more casual, but nothing that would affect the dining experience. You still get bread. They don't do the thing at Remy where they lift everything up at the same time, but they're definitely
the bread here
of the Pepper's ghost of the people behind you, like as they're trying to talk about how to present the course to you. But I do need Alex to talk about the chairs.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The
First
bread.
of all, I want to say the bread was incredible, and the butter was very, very soft, very easy to spread. And then those 2 little cups next to the butter, one was pink Himalayan sea salt, and the other was freshly cracked pepper, so you could sprinkle that on your bread after buttering it. Mwah. The chairs here are 3-legged, two underneath your feet and one behind you. And I was partaking in the champagne. We showed some pictures because after the rose, here's a pro tip that I wasn't prepared for. If you're going to Enchanté, I had a beverage in the rose. Then when they lead you into Enchanté, they first take you to a champagne lounge. It's optional, but you can sit down and enjoy a glass of champagne before you get to your table, where champagne is also continuously served. Hi, Jeremiah. And but so by this point, I was not aware that I had as much alcohol as I did. But when I went to go to the bathroom, because these chairs are 3-legged, I thought I was drunker than I was because it started to tip, and I was like, "Oh boy, I've gone too far." But
it's funny to see the cast members, like when someone starts to push back, like how they all swarm the chair.
They all get anxious. Yeah. When Benji tried to get up, when Jeremiah tried to get up, the same exact thing happened to them. So then I felt better because I thought I was way worse off than I was because these chairs are so easy to tip over in. And so I have a feeling these chairs are going to change.
Yeah, I've never seen it. There's a couple of things that you're not used to Disney Cruise Line cast members being like, yeah, that stinks. There was a few things like that on this cruise where they're like, these chairs are terrible.
These chairs, the elevators are probably the big 2. The size of the hyperspace lounge, everyone was in agreement, even the cast.
Is Enchanté also where Jeremiah picked up his plate and was doing all these weird things with it? What was that about? I know we shared that on our Twitter. What was that about? It was that was an airplane reference.
Jeremiah got the 9-course meal. I, as someone who doesn't eat seafood, they did the 5-course meal for me and modified it. And anytime they were getting a course where my menu didn't have a component of it, they would bring this like metal charger and set it down. Well, the second time that metal charger came out, the waiter was like, if you get really bored, you can do this. And he bent it. And it was made of this like woven metal, and you could roll it up and unfold it. It was really interesting. It was addicting, and ended up being that like that plate just got passed around, and then Jeremiah started doing goofy things on camera with it.
Oh, I think Doobie's going to be able to share that. But in the meantime, Cajun Channel has shared this in the comments. I want to get your take. They say Disney Wish kills it with the youth areas, the lobby, the lighter deck, but restaurants and dining entertainment, they miss the mark by miles.
I don't know that I can fairly judge the entertainment, but like I said before, I loved everything I ate on this cruise. And personally, having been on 3 of the 4 previous ships, I feel like this was my favorite cruise food-wise. That if I had to pick one just for the food, I would pick the Wish, because I loved everything about the food.
There's no question to me that the youth area is, and I guess, I don't know if we're going to talk about that.
Talk about it now, please. That was next.
Okay. The youth areas are amazing, and if you have a chance to go to open house, I mean, the Imagineering section has so much detail. The Star Wars section is better than the Star Cruiser. It's better
than the Star Cruiser, or better than the Hyperspace Lounge?
No. It's definitely better than the Hyperspace Lounge. But like the engineering room, like I just thought this had so much more to it than the engineering. I mean, it doesn't have the. Okay. I don't know what it does when you have a game in there, but like, and just so much detail. I definitely go down the slide and check it out. I think if you take out how the Marvel restaurant was oversold, I think the dining is great. I think the entertainment is great. The lobby is beautiful, and I will agree. If the Lido deck, meaning what's the Lido deck?
The upper decks.
Oh yeah, that's a disaster.
Okay.
Oh, really?
I would say I don't know that I would say a disaster, but I think the failure with the top decks are that they built them in such a way that they wanted more people to be able to stand and view whatever show happens, for a teeny tiny bit of your cruise. But long term, all the pools feel very small. And one of them is like mysterious. The Chip and Dale pool on deck 13. Most people, including myself, couldn't find out how to get there. And so what we kept hearing was, all the other pools are very crowded. If you want a quiet pool, go to the Chip and Dale pool. It's not adults only, but there's no kids up there. And it's like, yes, but I also can't find it. Like the kids can't find it. I can't find it. How do I get to the Chip and Dale pool? Because the adult pool, nice as it was, I enjoyed the Quiet Cove pool while everybody else was on Castaway Cay, and I had it to myself. But after that, it was like something out of MTV. It was like filled wall to wall with 20-somethings, all with cocktails in their hand, and it was anything but quiet.
And our cruise was only about 30% full. So you just go like, I mean, any venue I'd go to, I'd be like, okay, now imagine 3 times as many people here.
Right.
And the quiet, thinking about how much space there is for adults on the Disney Dream. I mean, from Satellite Falls all the way down. And that's just not here. I mean, I must have spent a good 45 minutes trying to find the rest of it, because I just presumed there'd be more adult pool area, and there just isn't.
The other thing about Quiet Cove is a significant part of it.
Part of what people like about what kids like about pools is like playing with other kids, and if you separate them into like 4 different sections, it's just not as fun to me as a kid. I mean, and then you might as well just go, swimming at your local pool. But
the other thing about Quiet Cove is much of the seating is so close. It's just divided by a little visual barrier to the exit to the AquaMouse, which is constantly playing a spiel of Mickey and Minnie, like the final scene. And so you're just nonstop hearing on a loop the same Mickey and Minnie audio.
Please stand up before exiting. Bye-bye.
Right. It's like, this is Quiet Cove, quote unquote, and you put it right next to this loud exit spiel for an attraction.
I will give them credit, and it wasn't done, but the Pirate Night fireworks show with the live rock and roll band is great. Not worth all this like pool reinvention that they felt they needed to do on this ship, but And
it is really cool. But one of my favorite things about the pirate night on the ships is Pirate Mickey sliding between the two masts. And they don't have that. In fact, you don't get Mickey and the gang in this pirate night.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
It's definitely
or at
themed to the
least in the
attraction.
show that we saw, we didn't see them. It was themed to the attraction. Jack Sparrow's in it, and Captain Red is in it.
Oh, okay. So kind of a more live actiony focus than Mickey and the gang.
And a live band.
While we're on the top deck, I also want to say, so I thought the quick service food was fantastic. One big change is that the ice cream is handed to you. So you tell them what you want, and they push the lever and give it to you. So it's not just walk up and grab
and it's not like the other ships where they put a folding table in front of it just for COVID. This is by design. There's a permanent counter separating you from the machines, and
I think the other
there to do them for you.
I think the other ships have gone back to self-service, post COVID. So that is
drinks are self-service here.
Did you feel that they had the same kind of variety of flavors that you found previously, or much more reduced?
It's much reduced, but also not quite ready.
Yeah, no, I gotcha.
The branding of the ship is not quite ready.
Vanilla and swirl, but I mean they can change that. On Castaway Cay, I didn't get off, but I heard that they were serving mango and strawberry.
Okay.
So also, on the ship for one night, they had double cone, like it was a cone with two places for the ice cream for one day, and then they went back to the regular cones, and people were very cranky.
You mentioned the quick service place. So traditionally, there's a pizza place, a burger/chicken place, and a health food place. Here, if I'm not mistaken, they also have like wraps and stuff. Here, I think they had a make your own taco and burrito location, which looked really. I mean,
not make your own. They make it for you,
but you choose your ingredients.
You specify it.
I
had the barbecue, which was fantastic.
That looked great as a vegetarian, which I wanted to mention. As a vegetarian, looking at all these menus, there are so many plant-based options everywhere, not just in the restaurants, everywhere. I was thrilled to see
that was a conscious decision. Coming up soon on Laughing Place, Alex is going to show you, is going to be having a couple panel discussions, and they might not be the most visually interesting things, but if you have 45 minutes for each, definitely watch them, because they're not as, I wouldn't say they're not scripted, but they're, you really get into some of the decision making. And so you go like, oh, well, now I understand it. Might not like it, or might think that's a bad decision, but you definitely understand what they're trying to do, which is really helpful in trying to figure out what happened here.
Yeah, plant-based sausage, can't wait to try it. Impossible Burger, I have that all over the place.
I will say the pizza is different. It's not the same pizza. It's much thinner crust. So I found that to be less filling. So I went up and got, normally I'm a 2-slice guy, and I'd eat those, and then I'd be like, gosh, I feel like I haven't eaten. I'm still hungry. So, which you can keep going back. There's no additional charge. But I did end up trying all the options, partially because of that. The Mexican inspired section that's Donald themed. It's very much like Disney Cruise Line Chipotle. I ended up getting a burrito there, but everything was very yummy, and you could, pretty much all of the items you would find at Chipotle to customize your burrito, your bowl, your taco. They had those there. And then, yes, like Benji was saying, the Mickey themed barbecue area was very yummy. They had macaroni and cheese and lots of options there. And they had sweet potato fries there. So if you're a sweet potato fry person, you could go get your chicken fingers at the Goofy section, and then go to the Mickey section and get sweet potato fries to match them up.
And across everywhere, there's a great plate game. Even there, it's very sturdy trays and stuff. They thought that through. I know it sounds silly, but
that Daisy's pizza menu that particular day at least had a 4-cheese, a margarita, and a plant-based sausage. Vegetarians of the world unite. Another majorly hyped section of the Disney Wish was the first attraction at sea, the AquaMouse. Did either of you get a chance to ride it?
I rode it once, and then I got walked off it my second attempt.
Okay, well, as with everything, it will get better in terms of dependability. So let's talk about the one you rode successfully. What was it like? Now, I've been on the aqua deck. the AquaDuck, which is an amazing water slide, but is not an attraction. What was the first attraction at sea like? While we watched Jeremiah ride.
I would say the first attraction at sea is very much like a water slide. It does have a slow build up lift hill. So you're sitting in your double raft. Here's Jeremiah going up it, and you've got these screens on the sides. I think it's very funny that the video that Disney gave us shows the video of the experience we didn't get to do, because we got the Matterhorn, and it takes you probably a full minute to get to the top. But once you're on your way, it's very much a slide. You do go past a few show scenes, but it's a very fun slide. You know, it has a lot of up and down components. So kind of, I'm trying to think what the name of the one at Typhoon Lagoon is.
Crush and Gusher.
Has Crush and Gusher, yes. It's very much like a mini Crush and Gusher. As you can see here, really great visibility on the slide during the clear portions. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this slide. I liked it much more than the AquaDunk, which I find very scary, and you always get water up your nose. I only did the AquaDuck once, but I enjoyed it. But I feel like the AquaMouse was a lot more fun. I wouldn't say that the screens and the story component necessarily added a ton to it. So in that way, I think the hype around it being an attraction at sea is misleading. And in fact, I saw a guest on our ship trying to experience it in jeans and shoes and a t-shirt and being turned away. And they were confused because you're saying attraction at sea, you know, and there's no signage, at least currently. I'm sure there will be, but there wasn't any signage saying this is a slide, you know. So
yeah, it's not an attraction at sea. It's a water slide with a themed lift hill.
Right.
I mean, and I think when they explained it, and you know, you're going like, okay, I feel like they're overselling this. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. And then you
were right.
Yeah.
By the way, for those
but
of
it's
you
fun.
watching,
it is really fun.
We're live, so if you have any questions, we've been slowly making our way through the ship because Benji and Alex attended the Disney Wish. Doobie and I, well, we haven't been on the Disney Wish. We've been on numerous cruises, so you know we're kind of peppering them with questions because we are so excited. We have a trip planned next year along with Ben and Alex. But if you have any questions, go ahead and toss them at us, and we'll do our best to answer them. But in the meantime, we'll continue to chat away. I'm finally getting to hear about their trip. So we're just, you know, kind of letting y'all eavesdrop on it.
I think we should talk about the entertainment, which was not quite ready, but we did get preview versions of the Seas the Adventure Show and The Little Mermaid, but
highlights of The Little Mermaid.
Right. I will say the Walt Disney Theater is beautiful. It is definitely a step up from the previous Walt Disney theaters. It feels bigger. I mean, not just in terms of seats, but in terms of stage presence. And
I don't think we got any interior photos of it.
Well, we weren't allowed to.
Oh, yeah. Even before the show started? Wow.
There was rehearsals and our preview.
Okay.
So there was a big, like, you know how normally they have the doors? They actually brought down the fire doors to prevent anyone from getting in there.
Okay.
Fluffy P says, I wish they took the first half of the AquaDuck and the second half of the AquaMouse, and that would be the dream water slide. Okay. I don't disagree. I love the AquaDuck, so I am excited to ride the AquaMouse because it looks like a lot of fun. But I am now tempering my expectations because I was super excited.
Well, and I will also say I forgot to mention that when you're looking at those screen elements, there's supposed to be more happening that's not ready yet. Our understanding is you're supposed to get very wet by the time you get to the top of the lift hill, but there were no water jets or any kind of extra effects beyond the screens that we experienced. So
I will say too, there's a lot on the ship that was oversold, which masks the fact that it's still pretty cool on its own.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I've seen other outlets ride where in between the screens they are getting squirted by the sides of water. So, but the big black squares that don't have screens seem to just be big black squares that don't have screens. And that was, I mean, you know, if you told me we've got the AquaDuck, except that you don't have to walk upstairs, instead you get to ride up while watching Disney cartoons. Yeah, I'll take that. But All about the presentation.
That is accurate.
One thing about this ship is this is really Captain Minnie's ship. Captain Mickey is there, but everything where they bring out the captain, it's Captain Minnie.
Cool.
And so the CZ Adventure Show is basically, Minnie's captaining the ship, and Goofy wants to someday be a sea captain. So Minnie uses Tinkerbell to make some magic. So he goes on these adventures and enters these worlds, and basically it becomes a Disney review, an animation style Disney review, and then he seizes the adventure. But the best part is hearing Goofy sing like songs you're not expecting Goofy to sing, like Go With the Flow from the Nemo musical, and Moana song. It's just
Into the Unknown.
Into the Unknown.
If you can picture Goofy's little waver in his voice going into the unknown.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
And Bill Farmer, the voice of Goofy, is common at these Disney events. So the whole time, Alex, Jeremiah, and I are just envisioning Bill singing Into the Unknown and just falling in love. If you watch, you don't even need to go to Disney events. If you watch It's a Dog's Life on Disney Plus, you'll fall in love with Bill Farmer, and you'll just envision him singing. It's not exactly "World Owes Me a Livin'."
But they do incorporate that in the beginning of the show when Goofy makes his entrance and he's mopping the deck. And Captain Minnie sees in him. It's almost like Walt Disney, like all the stories of Walt finding somebody and reassigning them to a different role. So Minnie's like, you're swabbing the deck, but I think you could be a captain if you wanted to be.
Also, what I was surprised about was, we went to a entertainment panel, and the lady the creative director has been with Disney forever. She was a kid of the kingdom. But the show writer, came from performance in New York and all this stuff. And so you're kind of like, okay, she's not going to, she's not a Disney person. She's a Broadway person, which is fine. But they got some deep Disney cuts in a lot of the entertainment on this ship, which is pretty cool.
That is
very cool. I love that.
So, one thing we learned being on shore while you guys were on the ship is Disney cruise fans are hardcore and have very specific questions. So I just wanted to go ahead.
Should we talk about Mermaid?
Oh, go ahead. Go talk about Mermaid.
So we also got a preview of Mermaid, which was basically the Mermaid show until Part of Your World, and then they kind of took a break, and then we saw Under the Sea. So we don't see a lot of what we were kind of informed would be some technical wizardry that but I really
they're still refining.
Right. But basically, they're kind of storytellers that go into this treasure truck, not like an Amazon one, like a
treasure chest. There's a giant treasure chest on the stage. The girl
grab things out and like so one
who becomes Ariel in the story starts singing Fathoms Below, walking through the audience, walks up to the stage, opens this treasure chest. Other storytellers join her. They start taking things out. And by the end of Fathoms Below, they've kind of assigned roles. And so one of the storytellers becomes King Triton. And then as they disappear and reappear, they become more and more the characters. So like the guy who becomes King Triton, they're all in like very Isle of Crete robes to begin with, and then as they start to peel back pieces, it's like, okay, now the skirt of the robe has fish scales in it, and then an accent piece that doubles as a tail if they lift it up. So it's clever the way that they all become the characters. There's puppets. Scuttle, Flounder, Sebastian are all puppets with an actor behind them doing the live voice.
They also the costumes were made from 35% sea plastic.
Recycled sea plastic.
Yeah, recycled.
Yes. Oh, I thought they had a sea plastic farm somewhere.
No, like they scooped plastic debris from the sea and transformed them into costumes.
Does this mean straws are coming back since there's a use for them now? So, as I mentioned, one thing we learned on the shore is Disney cruisers have very specific questions. So I just wanted to quick hit some things about the Disney Wish that I know we got questions about while we were here. Walking deck, there is one, but it is not flat all the way around the ship. It will go all the way around the ship, but you get your steps in too, your stairs in.
Unless you're in port.
Unless you're in port, in which case it will not go all the way around the ship.
Right.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yes.
Very, very, very interesting to know. There is a laundry area, which a lot of ships have gotten away with and gotten away from, and it is beautiful. Fairy Tale Laundry is really nice because they theme everything on this ship.
And it's better than any hotel laundry I've ever been in. Bigger, too.
Wow, that's cool. $3 to wash and dry. There is a deck 4 with wooden patio chairs to hang out on. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Otherwise I'm not going.
And shuffleboard.
Okay. Room service remains. The all hands on deck cheese plate remains. We do have those full menus on our website. Room service looks very, very yummy. The chicken wings, which I've heard are a favorite, remain. I do not know if the off the menu Mickey Premium ice cream bars are available. Yes,
also,
Ben?
one thing that is interesting is, you know how like O'Gill's has like a purchase menu, but still has like free food.
Yes.
Keg and Compass, at least as of now, does not have free food. It's just order food.
Is that now?
Yeah, and we
that was
didn't
actually,
see.
That was my next
we didn't see
question.
an area where it would have been spread out.
Cove Cafe, Wishing Stars Cafe. Do any of these places have a little tiny food area to go along with it? We did not see any in the pictures.
Yeah, I went to Cove twice and never saw any food offerings, free or otherwise.
If that is the case, and maybe just not ready, but that's really odd not to be able to get a scone with your coffee. I mean, it's just it used to be a place to get just a quick couple of desserts, just a nice little snack to go with whatever drink you're purchasing.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, and the lounges, they're more plentiful and they're spread out, but they're not as big. So
I will say Bayou has beignets for purchase.
Mm-hmm.
For purchase, though, not
for
just
purchase.
Out for grabbing. Because I mean, obviously, throughout the day, if you want to eat, you go up top. But you could always just drop into Cove Cafe, dropping the Vista Cafe on deck 5 on the Dream and Fantasy. Often the Promenade Cafe would have some little, just snacks. And it just seems like that's not the case here. The only place to get grab and go snacks, not purchase snacks, but just grab a snack, are up on the Lido deck, way up high.
The Promenade or Preludes. Preludes was open, but yes, it's not free. Like you could get popcorn throughout the day because Preludes here is not only outside the Walt Disney Theater, but it connects to the 2 theaters, movie theaters, Neverland and Wonderland.
I will say it felt weird that there was no place, at least as of now, they had a special sort of media section, but there was no place where outside of going all the way up top where you could get a snack.
Right.
Because I'd get you get a little hungry for something, especially with the late dinner, and there was just nowhere to go unless you want to go all the way back up.
Yeah, it's just something we got used to, grabbing a quick snack at many, many places around the ship, Rebekah.
Well, and that's one of those things where I'm still kind of waiting until the inaugural voyages and the maiden voyages, because it's really unclear exactly what it'll be operationally. And also just wanted to clarify that so there isn't the traditional jogging track because the walking deck that had been previously known to all of us as deck 4, that the walking deck that goes all around the ship, these all have stairs now, correct? It's not just a single level experience to go completely in a full loop around the deck for exercise.
I will say, though, I went to the fitness center, which was incredible. It was much bigger than the fitness centers on the other ships. They had, in addition to a lot of treadmills, they had a lot of ellipticals, and then these machines I wasn't familiar with where it's like tire tread, and you manpower that. You control the speed, so it was much more physical exertion. To get them to move, and I saw people using those sideways, walking backwards on them. They have a spin cycle room. They have an aerobics room with yoga mats and mirrors, and they do host classes for those things too, in addition to you being able to go in and work out. And then also a full suite of total body muscle machines, plus free weights and bench presses.
And getting back to lounges, we've talked about the Keg and Compass, which is kind of that pub feel. We've talked about Hyperspace Lounge a little bit. We've talked about Wishing Star Cafe, Cove Cafe. But is there a traditional nightclub that we've seen previously aboard the Disney cruise ships?
Like the Tube Revolution.
So they have Luna, which is a 2-story, what I would consider the equivalent of like the D lounge. And supposedly they can remove some of the chairs to create a little bit of a dance floor, but it's not like Evolution or anything like that.
And this was one of my. Oh, sorry. I was going to say with Luna, one of my complaints was, yes, they can clear out that bottom, but here's a picture of it. So yes, you can make a dance floor away from the stage, but if you look at this, the bottom level has windows, and it's not an adult district, so kids can be walking by at any point. So if there's dancing going on, know that you're potentially at any moment in view of children walking by. The upper level is open air into the hallways. And so if a presentation is going on in here, you can hear everything out in the hallways. So if music is loud, you're going to hear that from quite a distance in the hallway, which seemed like a weird choice to make.
Silent
I would not be.
disco.
Yeah, I would not be surprised though if the first dry dock doesn't close off those upper windows.
There's also Triton's, which seems like it's supposed to be like a comedy club, like it could be used as a comedy club, but it's so small, like super duper small, that I don't think it's particularly functional.
What about the Bayou? That one looks like very intriguing to me.
That looks like
the
the
Bayou
district
is
lounge.
very
It's
nice.
kind of in the middle there, and so like there's a little bit of a stage, so it seems like a place where they'll do trivia or maybe a piano or.
It reminded me of Promenade, but very centralized. Like if you took that lengthy Promenade bar lounge and made it kind of more of a circle. But the theming of the Bayou was really, really well done. Like all of the tables.
So I got handed this when I first got on board. And this is Disney Wish on it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure what it looks like something it's not. And I was going,
okay,
they're really going
for the Wish
audience here.
Wow, back in the day it was our little souvenir, and now it's
right.
the exact opposite.
What is it?
Sunscreen.
Okay.
Of
course.
A different kind of protection.
Right. But none of us realized what it was at first. And we're all like, why are we being handed this? Boys, girls, children.
All right. Alex
Mary
said,
wants to know.
wait, real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Because Alex said something that I think we want to emphasize. There is no, in the way there is on every other of the 4 ships, there is no adult district on the Wish. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so all the lounges are spread out. So like Luna, the entrance is I think on the same level as the Bayou, but there's shops in between. So like there's other places you could potentially be going between these lounges that aren't, adult entertainment themed. So I thought that was interesting. I think I prefer the layout on the other ships where you have a dedicated adult district, which also then leads to, if you try to go to Hyperspace Lounge and find that it's full, you could then potentially have, Pink right around the corner. Hyperspace Lounge is next to Nightingale, which is also not that big. That's the piano lounge. So if Nightingale's full and you can't get into Hyperspace, you're not exactly just turning around to see what else is available for you. You're walking around looking for it.
There's a couple of things that Disney prided itself on or embraced that they've given up on this ship. One is it's not particularly nautical themed. It doesn't have as much, even the silhouette of it is not as classical as particularly the Magic and the Wonder, but even to an extent the Dream and the Fantasy. They always used to have the kids, adults, and families section, so there was like a section for everybody. There's not really that anymore. I think Quiet Cove is that idea is that adults will use the general pools, primarily, because it's too small for just every adult who wants to just be alone for a little bit. Even the staterooms, like the TVs, it used to be like, okay, you'd have like sort of a room you would divide in half, and one would go here, and one would go, so you could move the TV into either side of the curtain. You can't do that on the ship. So in what's the kids section of the room, there's no TV. So they moved away from some of that stuff for sometimes reasons and sometimes not, or at least not, obvious reasons. But it's definitely a pivot.
Rebekah, you want to ask a question?
I was trying to pull up a picture of the stateroom if I had a specific picture demonstrating that. But what were you going to say, DB?
Oh, so I think you were going to show a question, but how about those staterooms? Are they pretty? Not the funnel suite, but just the regular stateroom. Are they pretty similar to what we're used to?
I would say they're less functional than we're used to. They're similar in terms of size, but an aesthetic, a little bit more. The bathrooms are a little nicer, a little upgrade, as particularly the shower. But
yes.
I think, like if you pull down the bed, you can't get outside the balcony. But they give you just enough spots to think that you can, and then you stub your toe.
Well, that's nice of them.
We all had a toe bump at some point in the room.
I will say, pro tip: don't go for the funnel suite. Go for the royal suite.
The Aurora or the Briar Rose.
Yeah.
Both of those, I agree. Both of those were prettier suites. They weren't as big in terms of the amount of people you can fit in them. But one of the things that I think you can't really compare is they have their own verandas. The funnel suite does not. And the verandas had their own spa jacuzzi on them. Like your own, just for you guys. Nobody else gets to go.
That's
which
cool.
I don't know how you compare that to just having, a big bathtub, because they also had big bathtubs. But in the funnel suite, you have a couple bathtubs. You don't have your own private deck or veranda if you wanted some outside time. So yeah, and I think the theming of the Aurora and the Briar Rose suites were so much more elegant than the Moana theming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, there it is. I was like, my eye is not falling on the folder with all the pictures of the Aurora suite. Hang on, I've got them now. So let me share some of them with all of you, because it is really. In fact, when this next picture right here, when it popped up,
that bathroom, you can make the windows frosted, like instantly at the touch of a button. So if you are in port,
funnel suite. Because that's my concern with the funnel suite.
The funnel suite didn't have windows in the bathrooms. And no, the funnel suite windows were curtains. You would draw curtains to get privacy.
Oh, that's right. They were still in test and adjust.
Or raise curtains to
show it off.
I mean, oh my! So this is still the one of the princess suites, not the funnel suite.
Yeah, this is the Aurora suite. That is stained glass, custom cut for this suite. That's your kitchenette.
This is incredible, with the jacuzzi on the veranda.
Plus, you have a really nice big bathtub in the bathroom off the master suite in this one.
I like the theme better too. More than the Moana.
It's much more elegant. The TV that's in the center there rises up out of that marble table and can be turned around. So you can watch it from the table or you can watch it from the couch.
That table looks kind of like a conference table. I feel a LP retreat coming on.
And Mary wants to know, were the shows too distracting from the dining, and which of the favorite kind of entertainment dining experiences? So that would be between Marvel and Arendelle.
Arendelle was
right.
Arendelle was definitely the winner in terms of the show entertainment. And what I think I applaud them for is the way they've constructed the shows in such a way where it's like the show starts after everyone is seated and has placed their orders and your appetizer comes. And then when your main course is served, there's a lull in the show. So it may just be that the duo is singing a few songs, but it's not like any story moments are going on. And then when dessert comes out, it kind of becomes the finale. I would not say the show was distracting at all. And you could definitely pace yourself if you wanted to focus solely on the show and then eat in between those moments.
I would encourage people not to compare Arendelle to Marvel. Marvel, there's a video show happening, but it's not live performance. So you take a break and you watch the movie essentially. But it is not like Arendelle, which is a fully themed dinner show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I think is going to catch some people by surprise based on what the expectation was.
It feels very. the way you're describing it, though, you guys have done Rapunzel, yeah?
Mhm.
Yeah, we've done Rapunzel and Tiana's.
It's similar to that, right?
Yeah, but
Yep.
that was retrofitted in, so the stage is kind of not centralized. There's not as much lighting effects and stuff like that. It's like that, except amped up.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I would say
with better access.
exactly. Yes,
Right.
but in terms of the structure of the dining experience, very, very similar.
Yeah. No, looks like fun. Looks like a lot.
It was, yeah. It was a lot of fun, and that was my favorite of the rotational dining options on the ship. And I wouldn't say I'm like the biggest Frozen fan,
Right.
but I love just the totality of the experience and the immersion of the theming.
And I know Ben, you're a Marvel fan, and so I'm sure you were really looking forward to that. But it sounds like it kind of disappointed you a little bit.
I wouldn't go that far. I would just say
Okay.
I feel like they oversold it, but doing what we do, I kind of realized they oversold it.
Okay.
And so there were definitely disappointed people
Gotcha.
on it, but it was and we got to the second night, so we kind of already heard what it was, what it was. And it's fun. You just need to set your expectations to, it's not Arendelle. Like, I could see people going to Arendelle first and then going to Marvel, and it being very anticlimactic.
Yeah, and we thankfully had the Order of 1923 World of Marvel Arendelle on the last night, which, if you have any say in the order in which you experience them, that is like the best build-up, where you're kind of finishing on the highest note.
Fluffy P is asking if you missed classic dining like Cabanas or Animator's Palette, or was it just refreshing to have new dining concepts? I'm going to broaden that. When you were on the ship, along with those, was there anything that you're like, wow, I just really miss X because of when you cruise with Disney, you have certain expectations. Or was there something you didn't get to scratch that particular Disney cruise itch?
I would say no to Animator's Palette, mainly because World of Marvel, really in essence, is Marvel-themed Animator's Palette. I've also, because Animator's Palette has been on every ship, I'm a little over Animator's Palette. Like, at this point, they could keep it on one ship and change it on all the others, and I would be happy. Because I feel like I've done it so many times. Cabanas, same thing. I really liked Marceline Market. I liked the little Disney touches. Food-wise, I would say Marceline Market, very much Cabanas. So in terms of like the food you crave, you're getting it all at Marceline Market. But it was nice having the little themed zones in the seating area where it didn't all feel the same. And there were nice little Disney touches. Like, one of the sections was Ratatouille themed, and framed on the wall, they had Remy's little chef hat and cooking spoon, like in a tiny little window box. There we go. So like really cute little things like that. That just gave it a nicer touch. Whereas Cabanas, to me, it's just generically island vibes. Nothing particularly Disney or special. So it was nice having that kind of extra level of theming with the buffet. But in terms of the food offering, I felt like I was getting Cabanas level, which is great. Like, I love the food at Cabanas.
What I missed was the midship elevators. Like, I mean, and they can become a cluster at the wrong time of day, but when you want to go to something midship, to have to walk through some other area to get to it, which may or may not be accessible, doing something it can be a little frustrating. Otherwise, I kind of view it as like, I don't go to the Magic Kingdom and feel like, oh, I miss Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, because it's like, it's not replacing anything. So it's just a different experience. And if it was a carbon copy of the other ships, then why bother? So, I do miss a little bit of the sort of classic feeling of the ship, but at the same time, it's just they went with something different, and there's the trade-off far exceeds what I'm missing. I do want to talk about the movie theaters. The Wonderland Theater is not done. No, I'm sorry, the Neverland Theater is not, like, I opened the door and you can see where the speakers are going to go. But it's beautiful. They have Tinkerbell, and then the lights are her wings. Like, so they're not physically there; they're just lights that come out from her. They're super themed. The Wonderland. They're very small compared to like the Buena Vista Theater, but it will allow them to show more movies, which will split it up. So I don't think that's as much of a concern. But I thought they were beautiful.
Yeah, we've got pictures of those. There's on our side of the Wonderland Cinema, not the Neverland, of course, because it's not ready yet. But this one looks like a lot of fun. Dang it!
There's also a midnight moment in the Great Hall.
That's what I'm getting to. Hold on.
Yeah.
So you talked about how they didn't go nautical here, how they instead turned it basically into a castle, a floating castle. No problem, Alex. A floating castle. And the centerpiece of that castle would be the Grand Hall. So A, your impressions of the Grand Hall compared to the other atriums, and then B, talk about the cool shows that they do there. I think it looks like they do a Kiss Goodnight, as well as at least based on the name, It's Dark Now. So
the midnight, because it's Cinderella theme, so it's like a midnight transformation. Yeah. They're not ready, like not even close to being ready. So
yeah, they felt like they were. Well, and they told us there were supposed to be a lot more character moments on that stage that's there. And we didn't get to experience any of that. And in fact, what they were mostly using the stage for was as like an interview backdrop. But they do have, they have this where the glass elevator usually would be. We have this like balcony. So when we first boarded, it was Rapunzel and Flynn Rider. Rapunzel's the character on the back of the ship. Cinderella, obviously, being the main theme of the atrium. And the Grand Hall.
One thing I want to mention that was told to us but isn't running yet is, I don't know if you went on the ships during COVID, instead of having a deck party, they would kind of line you up in the atrium and then do a show and then release you. It sounds like they're going to do that here. So they're going to say, welcome aboard the Mosley family. And then you're going to sit there for a second and they're going to do a sort of a wish granting. And then there'll be a moment in the Grand Hall and then you'll go on. There will still be a sail away party, but that will be afterwards.
And we do have our live stream of the first celebration that you can check out on this channel. And we do have videos of the two Grand Hall shows as they are now. As you just heard, they're not even close to done, but the way they are now, which is some pretty cool lighting effects and music. And we had several people tell us that the Kiss Goodnight brought them to tears. So people get emotional. You play some songs, you do some lights, you're on a ship, people get emotional.
And to me, it's a great return because the Till We Meet Again that they have on the classic ships was kind of bastardized for the Dream and Fantasy. So it's nice that they put that thought into that like goodbye moment on this ship.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they kind of brought that back.
Speaking of things not being done yet, the VR experience, which Uncharted Adventures, I believe it's called, not working at all yet, right? You didn't get to check that out?
Oh, we tested it.
Okay.
So we got a guided tour where they kind of explained what it is. And I thought it was, we all familiar with Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom, and I shouldn't say we all are. And the sort of midship detective agency game. And Disney's been doing these kind of interactive things for a bit. But what I thought was nice is a lot of those games tend to be pretty repetitive. So these are going to be a series of 4 adventures with 4 elements. So some will be interactive at what is kind of like an enchanted artwork. I mean, there's no enchanted artwork, but it's art that's a screen or another screen in the ship. But there's also other things that are like AR based, some that are interactive with physical elements. There's tons. And it kind of depends on what time of day you play, because like they're not going to have you right outside the theater during showtime, so there's a whole system there. They seem to be really well thought out, and I think it's finally giving that sort of that thought, that concept is finally coming into its own, as opposed to just being sort of a toe in the water, so to speak. So, and then it'll sync up with your Play Disney app, so any achievements you get will go on board, will connect eventually, not at launch. And when launch will be is soon. Probably, I mean, I shouldn't say they would not commit.
Hopefully July 14th.
Yeah, it probably won't be there July 14th because they would have said so. But yeah, it's not ready, but it's a lot of fun. And it's designed for a 3-day cruise too. And then at the end of your, or towards the end of the cruise, everyone's going to get together for a finale inside Luna, where they're going to have an interactive thing. I don't want to spoil it, but they'll be.
Oh, that's very cool. Awesome.
So there are a lot of pools, as we talked about, very small, but a lot of pools on this ship. There's a Slidosaurus Rex, which is available for all ages. There is a Toy Story Play Zone for the littlest ones. One question I had, I'm not sure, are there actually hot tubs outside of like the spa and are there hot tubs on the top decks?
Very
there
little.
are. They're very small. They're all round. So on previous ships, they would have kind of the longer ones tucked away on the sides that felt like they could accommodate quite a few people. These ones were much smaller. I never saw many people using them. People really favored the pools, so the pools just felt overcrowded because they are so small.
And the spas, but the spas are oddly placed, so they kind of feel weird. Like I saw a couple people using them, and you're just like on a walkway, like facing the walkway. And
is there one in the adult area?
What's that?
There was one in the adult area, and it's like off on the side, far away from the bar and the Cove Cafe.
Okay. One of my favorite moments, and I can't find this video now. I don't know where I saw it, but one of my favorite moments while watching you guys do this cruise was seeing Alex pull off his best Wipeout impression by doing the Hero Zone experience. Talk about the great improvements they've made to the basketball court on this ship.
Well, I mean, the basketball court is all indoors. I'm not a basketball player, but on previous ships, I feel like it's an upper deck with like netting around it.
Right. Outdoors, yes.
So yeah, this was much more of like an indoor space. Felt like a mini gymnasium aboard the ship, well themed, and then they can do this inflatable Incredibles obstacle course. I actually still have some battle scars from it. I got like the equivalent of rug burn on my knees while trying to do it. They paired me against a 5-year-old who beat me by probably a minute out of it. But it was really fun. Also, there were some celebrities on the ship and from the upper level. So can I talk about who was?
He's a fan of our site.
Disney legend John Stamos, future Disney legend John Stamos, was watching. His kids were playing in it, and so
cool.
I made a buffoon of myself in front of John Stamos.
All right.
Oh, that is epic. I'm so okay. That makes me very happy.
Pro tip on the Incredibles day we got from Ashley, the cruise director: do it on a port day.
Of course. But I love, aside from the Incredibles fun thing you did, I just love the fact that the basketball court is now indoors. The ping pong tables are now indoors, so they're actually usable.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
So here's the thing about the ping pong tables. They're on the upper deck and so it's like on a balcony. So they're not going to stay because so many ping pong balls ended up hitting people in the head. Yeah,
this is the problem. Why?
That's where the ping pong tables are, and then that's the ground.
Oh, here we go. Fluffy P wants to know Enchanted art. Now I got the impression that there were some displays that were like a little bit animated, like paper sculpts that were animated. I saw at least one image like that, but my understanding is there isn't any of those. The artwork that looks like a painting and then just springs to life strangely.
There's a couple that are like screens that are really meant for the Enchanted adventure game, Uncharted adventure game. It's not like on the other ships where you just go around and like they change for you. Also,
they weren't.
No virtual portholes either.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting choices. How is the artwork, Alex? I trust you much more. Is it beautiful artwork around the ship?
Really beautiful artwork, well themed, where like, I think they've done this on the other ships too, where each floor will be a movie, a character. So like if you're seeing mermaid art in one corner, everything on that floor artwork wise is going to be Little Mermaid, but also like the room signs are themed to that. So there'll be a seashell if you're on the Ariel floor. If you're on the Rapunzel floor, it's the sun, the Corona sun. So you're like, and even the carpet, details in the carpet, details in the lighting, extend beyond that artwork. And the artwork is a mix of concept artwork for the film, some final frames, and some new artwork. One of the new artwork things on one of the stairwells, it was all based on the castle of that princess character. And so the recent Shop Disney Castle collection, mirroring the elevators, one side was the exterior of the castle, the other was a slice of the interior with all the rooms. And they also had artwork of the ship like that off the main lobby, where it was the Disney Wish with like a slice through it, so you could see into all of the areas of the ship.
Oh, that cutaway picture, oh, that stole my heart. I immediately cast it over to our flat screen so I could see it nice and big, because that's an amazing image. I'm trying to see if I can pull it up here.
Yeah, and so that same cutaway image they have for all of the Disney princess castles, including Tiana's Palace, the restaurant from the end of that film.
And a lot of the art is available. Well, it's not quite ready yet. Is available for print on demand, where they'll ship it to your home.
I want that one. That's the one I want. Tell me that's mine.
That's yours.
Is it really?
Yeah. I tried to order you guys like a nice canvas version. Not quite ready yet, but we'll be back on the ship someday. But this was one of the gifts we were given. Although I will say the certificate of authenticity confused me, because it says edition size of 1600 with artist proof of 50 for a total edition of 850.
Math.
It's hard.
These are the people that made the ship blueprint.
So we've covered just about everything.
Do you want to go through some merchandise unboxing?
Sure, you get it ready.
Well,
I am going to.
You do what you have to do.
I'm going to bow out. I have some groceries to unpack.
Okay.
So
thanks for joining us.
I want to bring it back to where we started before we get to merchandise. We started off talking about the Star Wars place. We never really actually talked about what it was like. So, A, how was the Star Wars bar? And B, how was the $5,000 drink?
The $5,000 drink's not quite ready. And it's nice. It's just not worth the hassle.
Okay,
it's
take out
very
the hassle,
small.
Though. It is pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. It's just, it feels like, I don't know. I mean, if you've been to Star Cruiser or something like that, we've been in Star Wars dining establishments, like the Cantina. So I don't, it's cool. And there's some great Easter eggs. If you're a Star Wars fan, you could spend hours in there looking at outside the windows. ILM put all sorts of great things in there. Unfortunately, you're limited to 45 minutes, so you're not going to be able to see them all. But to me, it's so cool that it's so stupid that they limited it, which makes it not cool anymore. If that makes sense.
They should make this the cover charge instead of having a $5,000 drink.
Mary, hey, you guys, let me answer Mary's question. And that is the 5,000. It's just before the media even got on board ship. This began to be the buzz because they were able to look through their app and see the menus, and there was an item, and it simply had the name of the drink and then a list on it, it said like the most valuable thing in the galaxy or something like that. Yeah, exactly. But no, they weren't kidding. It was listed on the menu for the Hyperspace Lounge with the price tag of $5,000, and for the longest time, the media wasn't getting any information about it. You could see tweets from like Ashley Carter of local Orlando media, and she was like, "I keep asking, and I don't know what's in this. I don't know why." And we saw visuals of it. It comes out in that Camtano, that thing that looks kind of like an ice cream maker. When you hit it, like opens up, and it seems like maybe there's dry ice, so there's all this smoke and everything. But you're still kind of, what? How does it come to that? But apparently, this is like just the opening moment of what is essentially another vacation, in that it is what you are going to imbibe in this beverage comes from a vineyard that is at Skywalker Ranch. And so by ordering this on the cruise, you are also garnering a tour of the vineyard that is not accessible to the public. And so it's not about the drink. It's about that experience coupled with the other experience that brings you to this 5. I'm not trying to argue whether it's worth it or not. I'm just trying to explain how it goes beyond just a drink. And so that's what it was. So if you hear about the $5,000 drink, it's more than just the drink, but boy, was it fun for a few days to try and figure out how you add up enough stuff to end up with a cocktail that's $5K. Benji, I want to see what you bought. I want to see the toys.
Okay, well, full disclosure, we bought one of these.
Okay, no worries.
This is the Make-A-Wish Mickey and Minnie. There's a whole range of merchandise where 10% of the proceeds will go to Wish kids who are actually the godchildren of the ship. So here's Mickey and Minnie. They look very similar. Shoes are the best way to tell. Because they're wearing the same outfit. Well, and then I guess Minnie has a skirt. That's another way to tell.
And they have a nice little display on board ship letting you know the items that are specifically marked in their Make-A-Wish line. And many of these are going to be available on Shop Disney at some point as well. It says on board ship. Also available on Shop Disney. So
there's also two different ship models. One's $4,000 and one's $400. One's $40. So I got you the $40 version.
Thank you.
Wow, Doobie. Look at
Otherwise,
you.
the other one would just be way out of place with our collection. But awesome.
That's what I said, and I didn't see the smaller one, so I was like, I guess I have to get the big one. And as I'm about to pay, in the corner of my eye, I see the $40 version. I was like, no, stop!
Check it out. Milk
wow.
is a grandchild of the Disney Wish, so a godchild of the ship. So when we go, we'll have to make sure we order milkshakes when we go on the Wish.
Yes, and we will take some pictures in honor of Milkshake. That would be cool. You know we're doing real live unboxings, so you can hear the styrofoam.
In case you were wondering, it's Captain Marco.
Oh,
Knew that? Yes, Marco. This must be weird for Captain Tom.
Oh.
So you can see the first attraction at sea right there.
Which brings up a question. I've heard people say this ship simply isn't attractive exteriorly as the classics and Dream. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Particularly in pictures, not when you see it in person, but like, because you know, I mean, I never really got a chance to look at it completely from the profile, but yes.
She has a little more junk in the trunk.
That's the thing. That's the in thing these days, though. Yeah, I got
while
my surgery at just the wrong
while we wait for Benji to unbox, I'm going to showcase a few of the items that we spotted. We actually have a full write-up on Laughing Place of the variety of merchandise available throughout the ship. Jeremiah and the crew who were on board did an amazing job of making sure we knew what you could purchase and spend your money on when you got there. But then, apparently, there's a book.
Yeah. The Making a Disney Wish, Behind the Dreams of Disney's Newest Ship by David J. Fisher, forward by Thomas Maslam, the
cool
signature experiences guy. And then, so the statue on the Disney Wish is not quite like the one they sell. This one they sell is based off of the concept, original Imagineering concept. Mainly because if you look at the statue, they split Lucifer off.
Mm-hmm.
So, by the way, I was going down the staircase and someone's like, I wonder what the cat's name is. And I said, Lucifer. And they're like, haha, no, really? I was like, no, it really is Lucifer.
And there's Captain Minnie pin, Captain Mickey pin. We've got a Disney Wish logo. Disney Wish with the stern of the boat and the ship and the amazing Rapunzel, giving it a nice little paint there. So yeah, just a nice array. There's a few different lines that I've noticed. There's one with the characters really brightly themed and everything, so you can have that aspect of the Disney Wish, or they have some others that are a little bit more elegant in nature. Ooh, okay, that's nice. Do they still have the little mice? Okay, so they still have the mice. Oh,
yeah, the only real difference is Lucifer's split up a little bit.
Yeah,
You know,
but that's a well done way to represent that, that whole kind of moment. I still am mad that she has to share the spotlight with the cat, but whatever.
I won't say my joke.
Just a little, fine.
It is cool because you see it like this, but then when you come down the staircase, you see it's like a little extra weenie.
Yeah.
And if you are a Cindy fan, she is all over this place.
I'm so excited.
And they have these little tapestries that
all those tapestries. I can't wait to see those tapestries.
I have 2 quick questions. How does the chandelier look in person?
Nice.
Okay. And did you take the slide?
I did take the slide.
Okay. There's a slide you can take from the kids can take normally. No? Anybody?
Well, during open house, anyone can take it.
Okay.
When they first designed it, they when they revealed, they did this like virtual reveal thing. It was probably streamed on Parks Blog, and everyone was like, "Can adults do the side? Can adults do the side?" And they were like, "Not sure." But when it was actually done, adults can take the side. It's not a media only thing. It just has to be during open house. And
so instead of that's how you get to the kids area. You just get on a slide on deck 3 and slide right into deck 2. We have
Did you stop by Joyful Sweets?
I did. Not quite ready. But it was nice. The ice cream was good. They have this bing bong thing that you're gonna be able to get ice cream in at some point. It's cute. It is what it is.
It's so cute. Yeah, it looked fun. And there's a little thing that you buy this like the memory balls, and then it has like candy inside. One of the characters seems like fun.
So you got off the ship yesterday morning, right? July 2nd. The inaugural cruise is July 14th. I've heard not quite ready a lot out of your mouth. What do you think that's going to be like?
That we joked that was kind of like the drinking game you don't want to play.
Disney has a way of making these things happen, though, you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I could go either way. I don't know what's going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if everything's ready, or at least to the point where guests won't be upset, that it's not further done. But I also wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't. So we'll see what happens.
What were some of the little details that you loved the most? Because I know we're beginning to wrap up, but when you think of those, because I know one of the things that garnered a lot of attention through our Twitter was that one of the beers that's available in Keg and Compass, the handle that dispenses that beer that's named after Maelstrom, that's not coming to mind. It looks like the boat. It looks like the front of the boat from Maelstrom. What little features like that do you kind of jumped out at you that you recall?
I can't point out to like one, but I will say just the hallways, it just felt like everything was, there's so many different carpets, the ceiling at Luna, like everything is beautiful. There's no part where you go like, except the pool deck is kind of bland, but even the walkways to your staterooms and everything is very pretty.
Awesome. I think we can wrap this up. Thank you, everybody. Alex, Benji, Rebekah, all of you people out there. This has been one of our bigger live streams, which is really exciting. Thank you so much. Again, so much coverage of all this stuff already on Laughing Place. I think we probably even have a bit more to come, like some of those lengthier presentations Ben talked about. So just get over to Laughing Place. Disney Wish is one of the top stories over there right now you'll find. Just click that, and it'll take you to all of our Disney Wish coverage. Our YouTube channel has tons of Disney Wish coverage. I'm not sure when we're next doing Parks Talk Live. That's something we normally do on Mondays, but not tomorrow, obviously. So the next time we do a Parks Talk Live, we'll have Jeremiah. He will have a lot more. He was also on the cruise, and he'll have a lot more information because he has a completely different point of view than both Benji and Alex. I'm not saying his opinion is different. I'm saying just he comes at it from a different place. So looking forward to hear what Jeremiah has to say about it. And, of course, so many other shows here on Laughing Place. Disney Trivia Live on Tuesdays, Marvel Talk Live on Wednesdays, Star Wars Headlines whenever Rebekah tells me it's coming, Walk and Talks in the Park. These are all the reasons why you want to make sure you like our channel, ring the bell, subscribe. Thank you very, very much for taking the time to watch our kind of first impression look at the christening cruise on Disney's brand new ship, the Disney Wish. Ship number 5, 2 more to come. I believe the next one, instead of being like a castle at sea, will be like a spaceship Earth at sea. And then we're going to get a sorcerer's hat at sea. So I'm really looking forward to those. So until then, bye, everybody.